200
back
miles.
Time slips.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking
Yeah,
just
it's
before we
nearly
came on
200
air
miles.
about Bold Street in Liverpool.
Yeah.
He's vanished again.
Yeah.
The one I first heard about was the copper.
Yes.
Right.
But I think it
Frank.
Frank,
Yeah, Frank.
late 90s. And he was out shopping with his missus.
Mm-hmm.
Decided they were going to go to the Waterstones bookshop on Bold Street. Was walking there. His missus went to get something else. And as he walked into Bold Street, he was walking up, and what he thought was Waterstones was a clothes shop.
Right.
Yeah.
And as he was stood looking at it, someone else, a young lady, came up, again dressed in modern clothes. But it was only when he saw her and looked round, he saw people in the clothes from the 60s, cars and everything from the 60s. There was a van with a name on, some builders merchants or something. And when they actually walked in to the shop, the woman turned around to him and said, she said, "Oh, thank God for that." She said, "I thought it had changed to a clothes shop." And walked off totally bemused.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like I say, he was an ex-copper, so not one given to flights of fancy.
Yeah.
But there's apparently there's a few, isn't there?
Did you see? I found a reply on the story from the lady.
Oh, I've not seen that.
Yeah, I found it this afternoon. She called. Well, she's given herself a nom de plume, and she's put, "Hi, I'm the girl in 1996 who spoke to Frank. This experience has always stayed with me. It was not until finding it written out online that I knew he had documented it. I was delighted and relieved at the time, especially as he had documented it. I was in my late 20s and he was maybe in his late 40s. I have experienced other slips, mainly in Liverpool, one in Edinburgh railway station and another in Turkey. I was the lady in the BBC Two Uncanny episode in Bold Street." So she's the young lass, and she goes on to say about some of her other suspected slips and things. So, but then you get all the usual stuff you get online. The theory that's come out from that one and the couple other stories she shared that Joe Public seems to have come out with, which kind of makes sense, is the railway stations at least have what appears to be almost concentric circles of metalwork around them, and perhaps it's acting like a battery to attract and utilize the energy in different ways than what was intended.
I've heard that theory. I've also, well, it'd tie in with it, the EMF theory.
Mm-hmm.
That it's creating a massive magnetic field.
Yeah.
Which is like you said, causing disturbances in the time continuum, for want of a better phrase. Possibility. There's an awful lot that we don't say. There's quite a lot of different possible reasons that are expounded for why it happens, why we get these.
The one I liked was a shoplifter in the same area as this Frank and Carol story. Shall I go on with it?
Yeah, Carl said he'll be right back, so.
Okay. Well, this one is a young man called Sean who, while shoplifting in Liverpool back in 2006, ran away from a security guard headed down Hanover Street, trying to shake off the guard. Sean, who was 19 at the time, turned into a dead-end street called Brooks Alley, which is also mentioned in the Frank and Carol story. By this time, he was out of breath and started to get a tight sensation in his chest. But he realised that it wasn't just a problem with him, it was a problem with the atmosphere around him. He waited for the guard to come round the corner after him, but he never appeared. So thinking he'd given the slip, he sauntered back out and started to walk down Hanover Street again. But he soon realised something was wrong. The road looked different, and so did the pavement. The cars driving by looked very old-fashioned. The roadworks that he knew were there 10 minutes ago are now gone. Soon he noticed that the people around him were wearing strange clothes. Crossing over to Bold Street, he noticed that there were traffic lights where there weren't any traffic lights there earlier, and bushes growing around the Lyceum near a bar that he recognised. He carried on walking, realising that actually something was really, really odd. He began to panic, realised that somehow he'd stepped back in time and the time slip was not going away. Then he remembered he had his cell phone in his pocket. Took it out, tried to get a signal, but of course there isn't one. Eventually he really began to panic, but spotted a kiosk selling newspapers and headed over. Leaned over the stand, took a look at the front page of the Daily Post. In bold lettering, 18th of May 1967. He didn't know what to do. What happens if I can't get back home? What about family and friends, etc., etc.? So speeding up, he reached H. Samuel, the jewellers, tried his phone once more, and this time it worked. Sighing with relief, he looked round and realised that he had returned to the present. But the strange thing was, he could still see at the end of the road the people that were walking around in 1967. So by this time, he'd seen enough, dived into a bus and went home, not knowing if he was losing his mind or what. When he was interviewed by the local paper, he said 4 times the exact same thing over and over again. But the twist. A lot of folk think Sean was making the story up to escape from the guard. But the newspaper interviewed the security guard. He stated that he ran after Sean literally a matter of feet behind him, and he turned down the dead-end alley after him, and Sean had completely disappeared. Newspaper checked out the facts of Sean's story, found everything he said was historically accurate for shops, etc. I like that one.
I do too.
Yeah. It's one of those. I think I'd be in the same boat with Sean. How the hell am I going to get back?
Yeah. And the bit that they've put in the bottom as a footnote to this is Brooks Alleyway is smack bang dead centre of the concentric circles around the railway station there. So it's an interesting idea that could be. I mean, as you say,
a little bit to your
with it being a railway station, there's electrics and metal everywhere, and the two are going to magnify each other as far as electromagnetic field. And there's the more both feet on solid ground thing where the EMF field's really strong and people are hallucinating, but why would they all be hallucinating the same kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, it's a strange one that, like you said, in that area, there's only that particular stretch where it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's another one on there of a young girl, and she decided to go into Liverpool to buy her sister a few things for a new baby. She was happy to see a new Mother Care store that opened up on the corner of Lord Street in Whitechapel. She wandered round the store picking up baby items, and everything. She was surprised to see how cheap items were, but thought they were on offer. Taking them to the counter, she tried to pay with a credit card, and the staff member looked at her suspiciously and went off to get the manager. When she came back, she took the card off and told Imogen that they didn't take cards. So, disappointed, she went back and put the things back because she didn't have any money with her. When she got home, she told her mother what had happened, and her mother was surprised and said, that store closed years ago. There's a bank there, and I've actually got my account there. Not believing it, Imogen, the girl, took her mother back to the same place, and sure enough, there was a bank. No mother care.